Hello, and welcome to the Saga, the Clone Saga. You know the gist by now, but we're sticking with the Amalgam comics this week, and we got Spider-Boy. I'm Mike, alongside with...
I am Vincent, and we
Uh,
also have, and also Nelson.
Great intro, boys.
All right, who's our sponsor this week?
We got some Windex, because when the windows are dirty from all those bugs, you gotta clean it. The
Shout out
Meg,
to
in
Windex.
theaters in 2 weeks.
Also, the Meg, our running sponsor. So we teased the possibility of this last episode, and we decided to go through with it. We are not moving on to the Blood Brothers quite yet. We're taking a detour to talk about the two Amalgam issues, sorta not really starring Spider-Man, but they kind of star Spider-Man, and he's also a clone. And so, a reminder: these take place somehow between issues 3 and 4 of DC versus Marvel, which was last episode. But then, I guess after issue 4 of DC versus Marvel, I don't know if this universe still exists. The idea is, I guess it doesn't, but that's not really how multiverses work. Like, I guess it keeps going. Who knows?
Well, this Earth doesn't exist in Grant Morrison's multiversity, so I think it's dead.
Yeah, but it simultaneously exists in two multiverses because you also have to account for the Marvel version, which I think this is like Earth 94078 or something.
Well, the Marvel Universe does exist in multiversity, though.
Well, no, a version. I don't know.
A version of it, because they can't use the characters. But yeah.
So we have two issues. We have Spider Boy and Spider Boy team up. First, let's get into Spider Boy. And the tagline of this issue is, "With great power comes great possibilities." This issue is written and inked by Carl Kessel, who at this point is the writer on Superboy. That's why he's on this. He's also, at this point, was involved with a lot of the Superman line before the Superboy book started. And eventually, and at different times, he's done stuff for Marvel as well.
Which Superman book did he write?
Adventures of Superman.
Adventures, that's the one I thought.
Yeah, because most of the people, like, well, only S.H.I.E.L.D. and Superboy got spin-off books, or at least ongoings, but they spun out of the book and were done by the same creative teams as the writers of the books, the Superman books that they started during Reign. So Steel came out of Man of Steel, which was Simonson and Bogdanov. And then I guess at that point, Superman was probably Jurgens.
Jurgens was still on Superman.
And I think Action was Michelini and someone. But the big creative team deal here is that this issue is drawn by Mike Wieringo. This is his first appearance on the podcast, and sort of his first appearance on Spider-Man, if you can consider this Spider-Man. Before this, at least publicly and commercially, he drew one pinup of Spider-Man fighting the Juggernaut in the back of some random issue, which I think we covered the issue on this podcast. It was during the Clone Saga, but they don't put all the dozen pinups in the collections that we're reading. And he did a cover for like a weird anthology style paperback, which was called like Spider-Man and His Friends or something, just random team ups. And he will soon, in a few episodes, become one of the, in my opinion, best Spider-Man artists. And we'll see him pretty much through the end of the Clone Saga.
Nelson, you're a little bit familiar with Mike Wieringo, right? From digging through a little bit of Flash Volume 3.
A little bit of Flash Volume 3. Really digging that. I was sucked right into his art as soon as I looked at the first page. Really good shit.
And then also famously drew Fantastic Four with Mark Waid, and I'm just finishing up reading that run. So very excited to see Mike Wieringo here. Though I will say it's weird to look at his art through this early 90s digital coloring just because it looks a little bit off here.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if some of that, I don't know. So some of that might be the scans and stuff.
Yeah.
but it doesn't shine in quite the same way that he would eventually on Fantastic Four. So we hope that when we get to his actual Clone Saga issues, they'll look nice. So Spider-Boy, our main character, is an amalgam of Spider-Man and Superboy. And off the bat, he's fighting Bizarnage, a Bizarro Carnage mashup, and he's in Project Cadmus.
And he looks like Clayface from the Batman cartoon.
Yeah, he also reminded me of, like, he looks like the CeeLo Green plays a ghost in Adam Sandler's Hotel Transylvania movies. And
I haven't seen those. So
Bizarnage looks like an anorexic version of CeeLo Green's character from Hotel Transylvania.
the last time I watched an Adam Sandler movie, Vince, you were with me when we watched the Adam Sandler movie.
Which was the Meyerowitz stories, which
Yes.
we would recommend.
Highly recommend. It's one of those movies Adam Sandler makes every 10 years to remember and remind you that he can act.
Drama that he was in.
Reign Over Me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember because he was in something that looked really good recently, and I can't remember. What
Hotel Transylvania 2.
3 coming out this summer.
Wait, which just came out? It might have been 3 that just
It
came
would have been 3, Summer Vacation.
Yeah.
God.
So Netflix recently sponsored us with Lost in Space. They didn't reach out to us for the Meyerowitz stories, so that is an unsponsored tag. We do recommend that film. So despite the number 1 on the cover, we get an editor's note to Spider-Boy 37. Then later there's a footnote to Spider-Boy 305, and I was really confused. But then the letters page all the way at the end clarified this. I skipped over the stupid adjectives because the 4 spider titles in the Amalgam Universe are Outrageous Spider-Boy, Awesome Spider-Boy, Adjective of Spider-Boy, which is this issue, and Way Cool Spider-Boy. And I don't know which one is the worst. But Way Cool Spider-Boy, that's a ballsy name.
I'm going to read these. I didn't know that all of these titles were still running with these names, and I want to see what Way Cool Spider-Boy has in store.
Yeah, I wish the Amalgam Universe kept going.
You can
honestly,
you write and draw it because it doesn't exist.
I don't know if I would go that far to say that I want more of this, but but it's having fun with characters. I can say that much about it.
So Spider-Boy's chasing Bizarnage around, and first we learn, and we debated about this right before we started, the web shooters is a gun that he carries around, which seems kind of like a random change to make, and it's also totally inefficient when you can strap it to your wrist. But Spider-Boy ends up getting Bizarnage trapped in some thingy-jig. The fight's over, and then as we're going along, we get introduced to all these characters around Cadmus. The Cadmus scientists are a fusion of the Fantastic Four and the Challengers of the Unknown. So it's like just Reed Richards wearing a purple suit. And then there's like a tease where Reed Richards is evil, but then he's only evil because another evil guy is feeding him evil DNA so that they eventually discover that Reed is evil to get them off the track of the real evil guy. And then, of course, because this is just one issue, that never comes up again. And I was like, what the hell?
Can I just say real quick, that is not how DNA works.
Yes, you can.
I would like to make that point that is not how.
But I'd like you to explain how I had an evil bowl of DNA for breakfast then.
Okay, but you're not evil right now, so I think
You don't know that. I'm plotting.
That's true. I suppose that's true, and I can't stop you from eating your bowl of DNA every day. But I can say that it's a bad plot device. I don't know. I don't think that this was known at the time, but looking back, that was something that I read, and I was like, Okay.
Well, I also don't know how serious it's supposed to be.
Oh no, I'm not taking it seriously.
Yeah,
I'm just like, all right.
All I want to say is a lot of people blame millennials for getting out of hand buying avocado toast. The real problem is the evil DNA that they're all eating.
So then Ben Grimm, who's referred to as Rocky, maybe he's a senator. I couldn't tell if he's actually like connected to the rest of the Fantastic Four slash Challengers, or if he's there like as a liaison, because he doesn't wear their whatever. And I thought this was hilarious. So in the main Marvel universe, Kurt Connors, he loses his hand, and then he experiments with lizard DNA to try and regrow his hand. In the Amalgam Universe, his hand fell off or was cut off or whatever, and instead of experimenting on his body and getting turned into a lizard, his hand turns into a lizard. Which I wanted to see like the transformation scene where his hand just turns into a lizard.
Like it's like low schlock B movie kind of plot there.
And it's King Lizard, which is I guess supposed to sort of be fusion with King Shark, who at this point was introduced along like with the Superboy series, and was one of his major villains. And I guess, I mean, if they hadn't said that, and it's not even really clear if you're not like into Superboy, he just looks like a shitty drawn lizard. Like he doesn't really have shark features. Does he have a fin? Maybe he does. I don't remember. And then Sue Storm, I guess she's basically Sharon Carter, sort of.
I guess.
She works for S.H.I.E.L.D. and she has some connection to Bruce Wayne, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then they keep going with all these introductions of characters in their amalgam version. And it seems like they just put every single scientist character across both universes into Project Cadmus.
Yep.
Because then we have Dr. Palmer and Dr. Pym getting into an argument about like shrinking versus getting bigger. And it's like 2 panels, and I'm like, maybe they should have been used for something more significant in this dumb crossover universe. And then the fun part, this was the funniest like reversal for me, is Doc Ock is cool with Spider-Boy and is kind of his father figure. Because just like the real Spider-Man, Spider-Boy's uncle was killed by a burglar, but his uncle is Thunderbolt Ross, which is ridiculous.
No sense.
And that gets us eventually to Spider-Boy's secret identity, Pete Ross, Clark Kent's childhood friend. It's like so contrived, all these fusions and references, but then they also like kind of line up. It's so weird.
I'm picturing a big bulletin board with a lot of red yarn in a very crowded writer's room.
Yep.
With a lot of like really tired writers.
And so we get a flashback to all these people, and just like a lot of Marvel characters' origins, they're trying to recreate Operation Rebirth, which created Captain America, or in this case, Super Soldier. And we learn that Peter Parker was involved, and Peter Parker just dies in the experiment. So, and it's not even a fusion. Peter Parker exists in the Amalgam Universe, and he just dies as part of the backstory of the main character. And so I guess, even though later there's a scene which we'll get to where Spider-Boy is getting like pulled apart chronally, and it shows the 2 characters that are fused to make him. In that sequence, it shows like the traditional Spider-Man costume rather than Ben's. But I guess he's still a fusion, but he's a clone of Peter Parker. So I guess he's sort of technically a fusion of Ben Reilly and Connor Kent. It's not really clear. It doesn't matter. And then he has a car that transports him through tunnels.
But who gives him the car?
Well, Doc Ock helps him.
Yeah, Doc Ock is back from the dead.
Yep. Well, yeah, I didn't mention that in our universe he's still dead. And then we get like some of these crossover, like these fusions, are just mentioned in like half a sentence. So we quickly learn that Kazar lives in Skartaris, which is where Warlord is from. Also, they reference Conan, which Marvel still has the license for at this point. But it's weird because obviously he doesn't even exist in the Marvel universe. Technically.
Well, Marvel just got the rights back now.
Yep, and we'll see what they do with that.
Well, and then as we go along, I like the part where Doc Ock holds up the newspaper of Insect Queen has Spider Boy's love child.
Yeah, I didn't really know how to take that because.
Well, the best part about it is the pictures. He's just going like.
Yeah, he's just it's just his dopey looking face. But it was one of those. It was just another one of those things. It was Insect Queen has Spider Boys. I just got so like confused because I didn't know who Insect Queen was, and even given who she is, why is she having Spider Boy's love child?
All right, well, I'll get to that. So yeah, we're at the Bugle, and Tana Moon is very quickly introduced, and she's basically Spider Boy's Lois Lane, since at the Bugle he's Pete Ross, and Tana Moon was Superboy's girlfriend, so she's not really fused, though she's playing the role of Lois or like maybe like Betty Brant or something. And we also quickly get introduced to Jack Ryder, who works at the Bugle, and DC fans know him as the Creeper. Also, then there's a scene where there's a street sign that says Kessel Street, which I feel like there have been a few times on recent episodes where there has been a business or a street named after a creator who's working on the actual book, which to me is always kind of sketchy. It's like you can put like Kane Street if you're writing Batman, but if your name is Ed Brubaker and you're writing Batman, don't put Brubaker Street. Wait for them.
I would prefer you also not to put Kane Street if you're writing Batman.
Yeah, that too.
Put Finger Street instead.
So he runs off to fight King Lizard, and it's a fight, whatever. It's kind of fun, not really. And the way he finishes the fight is that he grabs one of Hank Pym, or maybe it was Palmer's. I guess it was Palmer's. Grabs one of his devices and shrinks the lizard to subatomic size. And then he admits that he's totally just letting King Lizard loose on a whole civilization, and that they're probably doomed. It's like really fucked up. And then he destroys the device in the process. And the final page reveal, which I'm sure Nelson was confused about as he was saying, is we get a Face It Tiger, you just hit the jackpot. And it's MJ.
I like the reference there, but why is she here?
So it's MJ, and she's in this weird bug-themed costume, and she's
in a bee costume.
And the Insect Queen, to explain, was a weird identity that Lana Lang could use when she put a ring on and was an honorary Legionnaire.
Oh my god!
So it's like a Superboy Legion of Superheroes obscure thing, and then eventually, post-Crisis, the Insect Queen was like changed as a dumb alien that Superman fought occasionally. There's a Kurt Busiek Insect Queen arc in Superman, and that's pretty much the end. And then the letters page has some fun as well. There is a reference to the Amalgam Universe's original editor, Stan Schwartz, which is an amalgam of Stan Lee and Julius Schwartz. And then, actually, I mentioned my confusion of the stupid adjectives. In the letters page, they actually mentioned that this adjective of Spider-Boy title is actually replacing the existing three rather than becoming a fourth one. So this is like beta for Brand New Day. So what did you guys think of Spider-Boy overall?
I liked the art. Story kind of garbage.
I like the art too. I wasn't a huge fan of the colors, but I think we talked about that being kind of due to it being like early digital coloring. But I still liked it. Uh, and it was fun enough. I spent more time laughing at the stupidity of some of these combinations than like any kind of like real value, you know. But
Yeah.
I had fun with it.
Being
It
on the show, I can no longer laugh at stupidity. There's just too much of it week in, week out.
I haven't been broken by the Clone Saga
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, I like the art, and then some of the crossovers were fun, but really this second issue, which I wasn't expecting, is where the crossovers and like dumb mashups and continuity references just go insane.
Oh,
And so
Yeah.
on that level, I enjoyed the second one more.
I'm actually going to agree.
yeah, yeah.
So on that note, Spider-Boy team up, which um, he's now hanging out with the Legion of Galactic Guardians 2099, which is a mouthful. And just off the cover, which we'll get into when they actually formally get introduced, but we can spy a few ridiculous inclusions on the Legion of Superheroes,
Why
like
is Electro there?
Electro, or at least someone wearing his costume is on the Legion. Also, Destiny, Mystique's dead wife. Carl Kessel is still writing this, but I had to Google that because he's jointly writing it now with Roger Stern, and they are confusingly credited together as R.K. Sternsoul. And so
Because
I
they
was like, who
founded
the hell?
themselves.
I was like, who the hell is R.K. Sternsoul? Unfortunately, Mike Wieringo is gone, but he's replaced by Jose Ladrone, who's doesn't really have the same name recognition as Ringo. This is one of Ladrone's first projects in Western comics, and right after this, he'll have a significant run on Cable with first James Robinson and then Joe Casey. And on that title, he goes for kind of a Jack Kirby inspired style, which kind of comes up. You can kind of see that in this issue a few times. But it's also like a weird. It's a mix of like a Jack Kirby style, but also like a hyper detailed European style, almost like Mobius or others like that.
I dug it.
Yeah, I like it. It's not quite as refined as it will eventually be, but I like it. He also did a Inhumans miniseries in the early 2000s, which was pretty cool.
Also, kind of crazy that we're getting the take on Spider-Man team up as like that book is pretty fresh and new. What is it, like 3 issues in so far in the Clone Saga?
Yep. I mean, obviously, though, it's a long-running concept with Marvel team up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So into the issue, Spider-Boy is thwarting the Scavulture, which is a terrible name.
It's bad.
But also, so this is the Vulture fusing with the Scavenger, which is a dumb Superboy villain. And like I guess Superboy is an ongoing book at this point, so you're either reading Superboy and then you know it or you're not. But like the Scavenger, that's pretty deep cut.
And then, well, what were you saying there?
So they fight for a while, and then Spider-Boy loses his web shooter in an alley, and it gets stolen by, I guess, a member of the Yancey Street Legion, which was weird. And then he gets frozen in a box and transported somewhere. But first, we see the Silver Racer show up, a fusion of Silver Surfer and the Black Racer. And then does he kill Doc Ock? Or does he just?
I think he's like a herald of death.
Yeah.
And like he doesn't say that he says that he's just there because they're gonna die, but it looks like he just blows them the fuck up. Like, because they've got at the bottom of that page, they've got the panel of like from like behind him of him looking at all those people, and then in the next panel, it's all of them like exploding and dying. So I don't know what that deal is at all.
And then it never comes up again.
Well, yeah, they say to get the full story, check out Challengers of the Fantastic #1.
Oh, true.
And I could only do so much of that. I can only hate myself so much. Maybe it's a
So
good
then
thing. I don't know.
Spider-Boy shows up in 2099 with the Legion. We get a roll call, and I'll just point out some of the interesting fusions. We get Martinex 5, which is a fusion of Martinex and Brainiac 5. Mike, did you enjoy Multiple Maid?
She didn't. I mean, was she even on panel outside of the lineup shot?
But yeah, a crossover between Triplicate Girl, whatever she's called at the time, and Multiple Man. It's kind of hilarious.
I liked the name Growing Boy.
Yep. We also have Molecule Lad, which is Molecule Man as a Legionnaire. Seems very OP. We have Bouncing Ball, which this is
I
hilarious.
like that one.
It's Bouncing Boy and Speedball. And it just looks like a very...
by Night.
Yeah, Timberwolf by Night. Now, again, it's unfortunate Matt was not here because I think he would appreciate Paste Eater Pete, which I guess is a crossover between Paste Pot Pete and Matter Eater Lad.
Did you see Universe Boy, which is is it it's Captain Universe, but I can't remember whose symbol that is on his chest for the Legion.
Oh yeah, I don't know. And then there's Sun Lord, who is literally just Fire Lord on the Legion. Which is funny because Fire Lord, since he's like somewhat immortal, he joins the Guardians of the Galaxy eventually.
What did you think of Vance Cosmic?
It's cool. I mean, I just like the ones that use very weird characters. Like the ones that are just very literal, like Guardians and Legion, not as interesting. Yeah. One of the characters is called Dream Date, and I'm not totally sure what they're a fusion of, but I just think that's a funny code name, Dream Date. And so, literally, right after they introduce themselves, the Frightful Five attack, because it's the Fatal Five from Legion. And we didn't really get a great shot of him, but Validus, the guy who has like a visible brain, I think he's one of the coolest designs in comics, which shout out to Jim Shooter and Kurt Swan. And right in the middle of this fight, Spider-Boy gets transported again 5 years forward, which I guess makes it 2104, where everything is shitty, which is definitely a reference and maybe commentary on Keith Giffen's 5 years later era for the Legion. And he's only there for like one page. Just gets transported back again to what seems like a time loop because the Legion are about to introduce themselves again. But we get a footnote that says, Secret Crisis of the Infinity Hour 10 has already happened. So, which, first of all, that's hilarious. Secret Crisis of the Infinity Hour. It's like all the stupid adjectives that both companies use all the time. Put them all together. And so, since that event happened, in the meantime, the Legion of Superheroes has rebooted. And we get another roll call.
Sparkler is my favorite.
Yeah, we get Sparkler, which is a Dazzler and someone.
It's Dazzler and Lightning Lass, I think, or Lightning Girl.
Probably. And we get Electron, which is just Electro, I guess.
Well, that and Living Lightning.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, Lightning Lad.
And this is, and we see less characters on this roll call with the names Lad and Lass and stuff like that. And that's because, and I feel like the art style is even slightly different. Like it's a little more cartoony and colorful. And this is referencing the post-Zero Hour Legion reboot, which at this point is the current one in the DCU as of 97 or whatever.
Which one do you prefer?
Probably the original one, but the post-Zero Hour is pretty cool. Really, the only those are both good. It's the 3 boot, which was the early 2000s Mark Waid one, which is the not that great one.
And right now they don't exist.
Yep. Well, no version of them exists. Yep. Then, right after he gets introduced to them, they transport him again, and they say he'll never be forgotten. And he jokes at least until the next reboot, which is a joke because, of course, post-Crisis on Infinite Earths, Superboy's central importance to the Legion was wiped out. And then he's back fighting Skavulture, And it turns out the Legion were in disguise as the Yancey Street Gang. So they defeat the Skullvulture, but not before a random kid gets shot. The kid who stole the web shooter earlier. And then Spider-Boy, we apparently missed a lot of continuity because he says that he's engaged to the Insect Queen, which was referenced a little earlier in like a bugle scene. But we weren't sure if that was just like tabloid bullshit. And they hand Spider-Boy a Legion flight ring to go off to the Fantastic Mountain, which I guess is where Cadmus is. They transport the fatally wounded child into the Phantom Negative Zone, which sounds like a terrible idea, especially since I think in the last issue they directly referenced that Annihilus is there. But the Legion is like, don't worry, he'll escape a century from now and become a Legionnaire, which just makes it more fucked up that he's going to be in limbo in the Phantom Negative Zone for 100 years. And then things just start getting more insane because Kang the Time Conqueror, a mix between Kang and the Time Trapper, shows up, tries to pull Spider-Boy in half. And so for a second, we actually see Spider-Man and Superboy. And then a future version of Spider-Boy comes to help and pushes them back together. They pull a Scooby-Doo moment where they unmask Kang. They're like, who are you? And they reveal he's Kronos Tut, a mix between Kronos and Rama Tut, who Rama Tut himself is an alternate variation of Kang. So never, as advice for Marvel fans, never think too hard about Kang.
Or your eyes will go cross-eyed.
The other Spidey introduces himself as Miguel Gan, aka Spider-Boy 2099. So he's kind of a fusion between Largand, aka Mon-El, and Spider-Man 2099. And that fits and makes sense because Mon-El ended up being post-crisis replacement for Superboy's role in the Legion. And we also get a reference to how Spider-Boy 2099 was cured with some spider DNA serum from Brainiac 5, which is referencing how Brainiac 5 cured Mon-El's lead weakness. And then everyone goes back to the future, and on their way out, they're like, oh, Spider-Boy, you're going to be fine. You're not going to die. But also, once you get married, your career is never quite the same again. Which, again, is that commentary? Are they shit-talking the Spider-Man marriage?
Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at least the way we were reading it, I don't think there's a letters page in this issue.
But there is an amazing Amalgam art pick.
Yep.
I did really like that shot. I mean, as much as I don't like the outfit, I really like that page.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
So I love these issues, especially the second one. They're just completely insane. Especially just someone who's like a continuity nerd for both publishers. There's just gold in here, but they totally don't work on their own. So what did you guys think of this Amalgam craft in general?
I just want to get through the rest of the Clone Saga at this point.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as much as I would enjoy any kind of like one-off read. As I said before, I kind of want to go and look into some of these weirder titles. But I didn't like the second one as much just because I haven't read like any Legion of Superheroes or the 2099 universe. So I had no idea who anybody was. So I didn't get as much out of the back-to-back reboots and roll calls and stuff. But I thought it was fun.
Yep. So
okay, the art was more better than the stories, really.
Yeah.
Next episode, we will be actually back to the Clone Saga proper with Blood
Sure,
Brothers.
you're not going to spontaneously add another episode at the 11th hour again?
Nope. I want to thank Nelson again for joining us for both of these amalgam related episodes.
I think it's only fair for Nelson now if he's been on for Amalgam. Eventually, he's going to come back and read actual Clone Saga. I think that's only fair.
Well, how about this? You guys let me know when there's a good jumping on point, and I'll jump on.
Ooh. We had just a good jumping on point when Sensational launched.
We'll figure that out and get back to it. Hopefully,
Yeah.
maybe we will see Nelson on the podcast again. Otherwise, we will definitely see the two of us, and hopefully some of our other regular co-hosts coming soon.
Well, where is Billy? He's in Europe, right?
Yep.
Man, don't we know other people that went to Europe this year?
I don't think so. I think it was just Billy.
Yeah, just Billy, right?
I mean, Matt went to the beach, but I don't think anyone.
That's not Europe.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Matt was camping, so he might be dead. Like a bear might have ate him.
All right. Send some prayers to Matt and his family, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next episode.
Billy, enjoy Holland.